Just want to let you lot know that if you're watching this clip on the Fozcast YouTube channel, the full episode is now available to watch exclusively on Spotify, and it's free. Come on. Should we have a little bit of current talk? I want to talk about Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, go on then.
I want to talk about Jadon Sancho. So, as a lot of you might have seen over the last couple of weeks, he's been out on loan at Borussia Dortmund. And he's been ripping it up by all accounts. I don't watch a lot of German football, but in the Champions League specifically, he has been ripping it up out at Dortmund. The first leg against PSG of the Champions League semi-final, I watched the game. He was phenomenal, mate. He was absolutely phenomenal. Like a better version of the old Jadon Sancho, genuinely.
So what's happened? What's changed?
So Jadon Sancho obviously had an absolute horrible, torrid time at Manchester United. You know, cast away from the team. You're not allowed to train with them. All that you read all the gory details. It wasn't nice to see, was it? Apparently, he didn't want to apologise to Eric Ten Hag. Eric Ten Hag said, "Well, unless you're prepared to apologise and reintegrate yourself into the team, you won't get involved again." Went out on loan to Borussia Dortmund. I think for Jadon Sancho, this just fits perfectly. It works.
Do you believe that there just are players that are a right fit for a club?
I think, no, not necessarily for a club, but I just think there are certainly players that won't fit in some clubs. And I think Manchester United, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think it is the toughest club to play for in world football. I think that badge, as soon as you've got it on, is so heavy, it weighs so much that you could be technically gifted, you could be whatever, you could be world class. Jadon Sancho, but it won't work for you. You put him in a Manchester United shirt, Tom, I promise you it just will not work for you.
But it's not Jadon Sancho alone, is it? So there's something bigger going on there, as
sure.
we all know.
Yeah.
So what players have hit the ground running at United? What success stories have there been in the last 2-3 years?
There's not been many.
There's not been
many. You look at Bruno Fernandes when he signed. Fantastic.
That was years ago.
It was years ago. He hit the ground running. There hasn't been many. Lisandro Martinez, he might have taken a little while to adapt, but he's a player that's done very well. Højlund, fits and starts, a bit hit and miss. There's not been many. And I think it's got to a place now where I think once they've signed for Manchester United, right, you either sink or you kind of swim. And like I say, that badge just feels, it's like it's the heaviest it's ever been as well. I remember when I was there, mate, it was scary. Genuinely, it was scary. I was going into games thinking, please just don't mess up. Please don't mess up. I know I've got the watching world waiting for me to fail. They want me to fail.
You were a young lad then, and you'd been thrown into it from you were at Wrexham and at Watford on loan, and then you were thrown in. Do you think, looking back, if you'd have had a season, because obviously you'd been out for a long time, but if you'd had a season playing for a Newcastle or something, things would have been different?
Possibly.
Just that extra experience.
Possibly, that extra experience. But again, once you get into that Manchester United team and you're on that starting pitch, you're in that 11, mate, honestly, the effect it takes on you, the toll it takes on you is phenomenal. They all want you to fail. They want you to fail so badly, in fact. And even now, like, you watch the media world that we live in, they want Man United to fail. That's good for business, yeah? Isn't it? It's good for business if Manchester United fail. So if Jadon Sancho put that performance in for Borussia Dortmund yesterday, right, and then he had a game for Manchester United in 2 days' time, it would be, I promise you, he would be a shell of a player. He wouldn't be the same player, because as soon as you put that Man United shirt on, you realise that there's expectation, and that is what gets in people's heads. And I've said it again 1,000 times, you could be the best, most technical player, but if your head isn't right and you're not confident enough in what you're doing, then you may as well not even be on the pitch.
I don't think it's, obviously you're going to know more than me, but I don't think it's the weight of the shirt on it. I think it's a bigger cultural problem at the club. So you've had some good players going in, and not many of them have been performing. I just think that players are going in there and they're aware of this toxic culture at United. And it's been, since Ferguson left, it's just been a slippery slope, slowly but surely. And I was listening to the radio yesterday and they were saying, Ten Hag hasn't done it, and you put any manager in there.
Hey, no one's doing it.
I
think that toxic. I agree with what you're saying, by the way. I think that toxic culture comes from all the negative press that's outside as well, though. It's slowly seeping into them walls, so everybody then starts to get a little bit insecure. They start to sort of like shield themselves off to everybody else, and then it's almost like, I'm just going to fight my own corner. That's where you have divisions. You know what I mean? You get 2, become 4. You saw the 3 players walking off the pitch after the 4-0 defeat to Palace the other night, mate. How negative did that look? Genuinely, like, you've got players covering their mouths, right? You've got
plodding off the pitch.
Anthony's holding 3. I don't know what Anthony's doing, trying to moan about tactics or moan about players when some of the performances he's put himself in himself this season. But them 3 walking off, they know they've got the camera on them and they're doing that. I'm just thinking, lads,
just get indoors.
Pathetic. Who was it that was doing it? It was Jamie Carragher, wasn't it? He was saying, just get off the pitch. You're embarrassing yourself now. You've been beaten 4-0.
Do you think that's because it's been highlighted, the fact that the cameras are on? Because this wouldn't be a thing unless the Sky cameras were following them.
Yeah, but it still happened. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but does that not happen up and down the country when teams lose?
Yeah, it does to an extent. But like I say though, you've got to look at the whole picture of it, the whole scenario of it, right? Them lads are walking off doing that when they know they've got a massive camera in front of them. Yeah, like. We've got massive cameras in front of us here. Yeah. Can you imagine walking off a pitch with a guy backpedaling, holding a camera and going, "Free, we should have played free in midfield. Like, he was a disgrace. He was a disgrace."
Yeah,
like,
it's fair.
You know it's being recorded and showed to the world. You know that, right? So don't do it.
Yeah, and it is culturally, I think the problem at United is the accountability. So they've had a churn of managers. Yeah. Poor signings. I mean, signing Casemiro, and he was, on fire for half a season, but he's on like a 4 or 5 year. He's got about 3 or 4 years left.
Yeah, it's scary,
on
mate.
Silly money. But the accountability is, well, there isn't any. You just sack the manager.
It's not even
just sack the manager.
Again, jumping on your accountability shout there. You look at the injuries they've had as well, mate. Like, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, sack the medical team. Like, it's a shambles. It's a disgrace." I'm very much of the I'm of the opinion, right, that certain players will get injured more than others, right?
Yeah, of course.
But there's also, you can do an awful lot to ensure that you don't get injured, Tom. You can do loads to ensure that you don't get injured.
Look at Arsenal. They've gone the whole season with
hardly any,
a few injuries.
That's
not a coincidence.
No, it's not a coincidence, right? They have got their kind of sports science, their rehab work, their prehab work, their gym work, the strengthening, down to a T. You have to make sure, you have to put so many demands on players, right? Because it's like, that bit of it is like the boring part for a footballer. It really is. Getting in the morning, getting in the gym and doing all your work, your programs, your strengthening programs, making sure you stick to it religiously, making sure you're not having late nights sitting in your computer chair hunched over, which is bad for your back, which like lengthens your hamstrings, all that kind of stuff, right? There are so many things you can do to ensure that you can stay fit. James McLean, I mentioned a minute ago, right? James McLean he will pick up like contact injuries. You can't do anything with contact. If somebody bangs you and that you do a medial or you do a broken bone or something, they're the ones that you go, yeah, cool, hold your hands up. But all the strains and like overstretching of muscles, and you might have a grade 1, grade 2. They're the ones that you can genuinely do a lot for them, mate, to make sure they don't happen. But not only that as well, when it comes to the rehab part of it, I've seen calf injuries, a grade 2 calf injury, somebody get back within 2 weeks, yeah? I've seen Manchester United players take 3, 4, 5 months. Genuinely, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, yeah? With a grade 2, because they don't want to get back.
They're hiding.
They're happy to stay injured because that way the pressure's not on them. The spotlight, the attention, the hate, everything that you see in the media, none of it's on them. It's, oh, he's injured, so, it's not his fault.
But that's all going to change now. I mean, they have had...
is it all going to change,
yeah,
Joe? I don't know.
I genuinely believe it's going to change now. You've got Ratcliffe and Brailsford at the top of the tree there. They've signed the CEO from Man City, Barada. They've got Jason Wilcox coming in as the, I think, technical director. Yeah. Dan Ashworth. So there has been a kind of changing of the guard in those senior positions. So it looks like Ratcliffe's gone, you've all been making bad decisions. Now's the time for accountability. Yeah. And they've all gone. And with these people in charge, there's some serious operators there. Things are going to change at United. Well, it's a new dawn coming.
I agree that it on paper, but football never ever goes to paper, mate.
But if you've got the right people in the senior positions, Ben, right, and the culture starts to change. They set the culture, right?
They do set a culture.
You've got people like Jason Wilcox, Dan Ashworth. you're only 2 transfer windows away.
Yeah,
Two good transfer windows for
again,
change.
I love this talk. Right, this is class because I agree. I totally agree, and I think they've got a much better chance with these people involved. It's about then recruiting the right people.
Yes.
Yeah. The Wrexham model: recruit the right people that are very good at playing football. That's what you should recruit on, right? But then you say 2 transfer windows away. Man City have got the same 2 transfer windows, you know. So has Arsenal, so have Liverpool, so have Tottenham, so have Newcastle. So do you know what I mean?
But they can't. They like you look at Man City and go, they can't get much better, and United can't get much worse.
Yeah.
So surely it's just going to go like that a little bit.
Yeah. The gap will close, but it's a big old gap.
I'm not saying it isn't.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is they seem to have been employing the right people on a senior level.
Yeah.
To make these decisions, to get the recruitment right, to get the culture right. Now, if you can get 2 or 3 of the right players and right people in the next window, and again, it's a very, very big change then, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
it is, yeah.
I do think this is as low as it's going to get for United.
I think so. I agree on that for sure. I think this is about the worst it's been for Manchester United. Probably the worst it's ever been for Manchester United.
Thanks everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed this clip of the Fozcast. If you would like to watch the full episode, it is now available exclusively on Spotify for free.